Well, next let's kick it all down to Gainesville, Shane, where speaking of a heavy favorite, Florida Gators, 23.5-point favorite at home over Florida Atlantic. And old Willie Taggart used to be the head coach down there at Florida State for about a year till they fired him. But, you know,
Get your backpack ready, baby.
oh man, I forgot all about that. But yeah, interesting news here from Florida to start the week, Shade. I did not see this one coming, but you remember a couple weeks ago, Auburn senior defensive lineman Tyrone Truesdell, he was projected to start. And of course, anytime an Auburn lineman enters the portal, Shane says, "Come on down to Rocky Top." Well, he didn't go that direction, Shane. He went to Gainesville. So the Gators, they've picked up, this is their second Auburn transfer defensive lineman. They also got Newkirk this offseason, and they added Antonio Shelton from Penn State. So they have totally retooled that interior of their defensive line with transfers. But, a nice little pickup here for the Gators. It's, I guess that's just the wild state of college football where, hell, we're in game week, and the Gators are picking up a veteran in the SEC that was poised to start for one of the better defenses in the league. Now he's a Florida Gator, so nice little pickup there.
Hell yeah, it's a nice pickup. I mean, that's where the Gators are at. They're just fine tuning. I mean, that's what the portal. That's ideally when you think about the transfer portal, it's like a grocery store. You could go in and grab a couple items you need. That's what Dan Mullen's doing. He's just, okay, I'm a little weak here. Let's fix that, and that's exactly what he did.
Now, of course, this is something, we've talked about, but you don't feel its effect till you see it. But the packed stadiums, and particularly in the swamp, we know how rowdy that place can be, especially when them Gators are rocking like they have been under Dan Mullen. So that is something, I thought that was the best comment Mullen had to start off the week here. Let's kick it over to Dan Mullen, who talks about the impact of having the packed stadiums once again. He discussed the addition of Truesdell, and now their starting corner, at least on the depth chart they released, is going to be Avery Helm opposite Kyer Elam. So that was a big question mark heading into the season.
How much extra juice do you expect the coaches and players to get from being in front of what could be a semi-packed stadium or a packed stadium? And how did you, I don't know if we asked you last year how you generated some of that yourselves.
Well, I think, last year just very, very, unique, and the guys having to motivate themselves to play the game, which, our guys love to play the game. We love to coach the game. We love everything that the game stands for. So the motivating factor is there, but it is that extra energy. You do, and you feel the crowd. You don't just hear it. But you feel it, and I think that's something that, can really draw out things inside of you that you're not, you don't get through last year, when you're just your self-motivation and desire to go play. When you can feel the energy of a crowd, it lifts you up even more.
And then with the unofficial depth chart, I know how much you love those, but Avery Helm is listed as one of the starting corners. I'm just curious what you saw from him throughout the camp that got him in the spot.
Yeah, well, I guess that's today's depth chart. It changes every day, so you show up on Saturday, you get to see who starts. But I thought he's done a really good job of putting himself in position. Whether he starts or not, I don't know. You got to come out on Saturday, or plays the first play of the game. But we're going to play a bunch of guys on the back end. We're going to rotate a bunch of guys through. I think Avery's done a really good job of maturing. I think that was a big deal for him. I know he came in when he got here. He's coming off a pretty significant injury. So that set him back with his rehab. But to grow and mature through that and then put himself in a position, obviously has tremendous physical talents. But it's the maturity of learning how to, play within the scheme, play within what we're doing, and do what's expected of him beyond just his physical talents. And he's worked hard to go learn that, having missed all the time from an injury when he got here.
Yeah, Dan, it looked like news came out today that you guys took a third grad transfer defensive tackle. Did injuries in camp play into that decision at all?
Well, I think you're looking at your depth, and that was a position. Really, to me, it was a little bit of a recruiting gap in the middle that we've had. That for my first and second year here. And then you have some injuries and some guys not able to perform. But, I mean, it was somebody that we looked at immediately at the start of training camp. And, it's just something that you look at the depth chart, you look at where you're at, and you look at the needs. And, you got a guy that started a lot of games in this league, the opportunity for him to come in. And I know it's kind of a late start, but, being a veteran guy that started in the league, I think he's going to adapt really quick.
All right, Shane, so I just really appreciate the fact that a guy like Dan Mullen, we know how great of a coach he is, but he is well aware that he cannot do it all, and his team can't do it alone. They need the fans. They need them showing up, even if it's FAU. It's going to be hotter than hell in the swamp, yet those fans are going to show up in full force and pack that place like it is Alabama because they didn't get to do that last year, and it's I don't know much about FAU, obviously. That's why we had Stephen Lassen on the show. But if they ever stood a chance, it was when there was no fans in the stands. They got no prayers this week. You know what?
Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, but you got to think about – I always think about that game last year between them and Texas A&M. And we joked that they snuck in a few extra fans at that game because how loud they were. But it was a factor. It was something that Dan had to deal with, and he came out talking about it. So I think when you implement the crowd noise, I tell you, I was doing those videos last week at SEC. That was probably the most fun I had was going on there at YouTube and just video of these home fields, the loudest. My buddy sent me one the other day. Now, granted, we lost this game, but Tennessee and Oklahoma, it was the stadium was just almost, it felt like it was about to collapse.
Right.
Crowd noise is a factor, and it's something that we forgot about because we went a year without it. But when it comes back, I'm telling you, man, some of these boys down there at FAU, they're gonna be shaking, man. Them owls, they ain't gonna know what hit them when it gets real ramped up.
Last thing, real quick on the Gators. There's been speculation. Anthony Richardson, the backup, playing so well. He's gonna see the field. He may have the best nickname in the SEC, Shane, AR-15. But what separates Emory Jones here, his knowledge of the system and, just being able to read defenses and pick things up pre-snap, that is something that Dan Mullen hit on as well.
So obviously Emory has been in at times, but this will be the first time he, is the starter, at least according to the depth chart. How much do you put on his plate this first week? Do you let him go out there and run a full playbook? Do you sort of ease him into it? Because in the past, he's only done a couple of series at a time, maybe a few versus Auburn when Kyle was hurt. I guess just how much do you throw at him at once?
Yeah, we put it all in on him. You know what I mean? It's not like he's a freshman or hasn't been around. That's part of the experience. I mean, he's played in meaningful snaps in each of the last couple seasons. So, he's a guy that I feel pretty comfortable. We'll just throw the whole thing at him and let him go.
With that being said, how much, I guess, flexibility or how much leeway does he have to sort of, make his own calls?
A lot.
Audibles? Is it all check with me?
He has a lot. We'll have a bunch of different things. We'll have some, some packaged plays that are checked together. We'll have some automatics that he can kill to. And then I think he knows he has the ability, if he sees something that he likes or that's different that we weren't planning for. A lot of times you get in a game, especially one that you're not really, you don't have much film to go watch, that, you have to be very flexible during the course of the game. And so he's a guy that I have the confidence in that if he sees something, he can check to it and go take what he sees.